You're listening to ayahuascapodcast.com. What is the difference between the conscious sexuality and the unconscious one?
Yeah, I think it says it in the name itself, right? How conscious are we of our sexuality? How conscious are we of our relationship to sexuality? Like, how conscious are we of how we relate to sex and how that impacts our day-to-day life, how that impacts our relationships, how that impacts our communication, how that impacts our lifestyle? Like, how aware are we of the sexual energy component? How aware are we of the sacredness to sexuality and utilizing sexuality as a means to elevate our connection to spirituality, to elevate or transcend our states of consciousness, right? And so conscious sexuality is where we start to now dissect and dialogue and interact with what does it actually mean?
In this episode of ayahuascapodcast.com, I have a conversation with Sebastian Hernandez, performance coach specializing in sacred masculinity, energy work, and tantra. We touch upon topics of defying and embodying sacred masculinity. We talk about Sebastian's journey from corporate world to working with plant medicines, exploring conscious versus unconscious sexuality, understanding chakras and their impact on energy, the significance of tantra and sexual energy in healing. Enjoy this episode. This episode is unique because it's mostly designed for men. Women can also give it a listen, but if you want to learn more about sacred masculinity, and also in this episode, me and Sebastian introduce the new event that we're going to organize, special sacred masculinity ayahuasca retreat, which will involve ayahuasca and also energy work, sacred masculinity classes, and so much more. Give it a listen, and if you're interested, you can join us in October 3rd. This episode is sponsored by La Huayra Ayahuasca Retreat. At La Huayra, we combine affordability, accessibility, and authenticity. La Huayra, connect, heal, grow. Guys, I'm looking forward to hosting you. Hi guys, and welcome to Ayahuasca Podcast. As always, with you, the host, Sam Believ. Today, I'm interviewing Sebastian Hernandez. Sebastian is a coach, performance coach. He teaches sacred masculinity, energies, tantra, and all the kind of interesting stuff. Sebastian, welcome to the show.
Epa, Sam, thank you for having me, man. Thank you. Looking forward to having this
Sebastian is also a writer, a podcaster, a speaker, a bit of everything. Is that a good description, Sebastian?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my dream goals when I was a young kid was to be a Renaissance man. And so I would say part of being a Renaissance man is you get to be a little bit of everything.
That's a good one. Yeah, like there's space for that, knowing a bit of everything so you can combine the uncombinable. Sebastian, so before we begin talking about the topic of this episode today, talk to us a little bit about your history and how did your life bring you into the work with plant medicines?
Yeah, man. Thank you for that question. The origin story. So I would say I took my initial leap was in 2015. So prior to that, I was working in the corporate world. I was building a financial agency, and while it was good, it wasn't my purpose. And I found myself in this crossroad to like really getting connected to like not knowing who I was, what my purpose was, or like really like what was the purpose of being here. And I knew that wasn't going to be sustainable. So I had to like take a leap and really discover that. And 2015, I did. I took on that leap, and it was a discovery of identifying like what are my core values? Like, what do I actually believe? What do I want? What do I want to achieve? And it's been an 8-year process, man. It's been an 8-year process since that. And in that process, it's been a lot of discovering, a lot of peeling of the onion, discovering different parts of myself. And in that process was not only being grounded in identifying what it meant to be grounded in who I was, but then also moving into the paradigm of, all right, well, then how does plant medicine support me, right? And all the alliances that come with plant medicine. And then from there, moving into this conscious sexuality which is then how do I manage my sexual urges from a place that's empowered and not lustful and depleting, right? So it's been a journey. It's been a journey of 8 years of really navigating, of walking these paths, of encountering different mentors and teachers that have guided me, men and women, that have taught me things that I didn't know were my blind spots and gave me extra tools and practices to implement, which now I have this day-to-day lifestyle that I absolutely love, and I feel empowered around my sexuality, and I get to empower others around their sexuality. So in a nutshell, that's a summary.
So you said the finance was not your purpose. So what is your purpose right now?
Yeah, empower world-class leaders. Like, that was very clear for me that, like, I may not be the one that changes the world, but from a place of being a coach that empowers people to really step into their greatness, like, I am meant to empower people that are going to make a difference and impact on a world level. And it's just like, I know that, like, world-class people that are out to make a world-class impact, and I get to remind them of who they are for themselves and the world. And that's fucking cool.
That's a good one. So you mentioned conscious sexuality. Let's talk a little bit about that. What is the difference between the conscious sexuality and the unconscious one?
Yeah, man, absolutely. I think it says it in the name itself, right? Like, conscious, like, how conscious are we of our sexuality? How conscious are we of our relationship to sexuality? Like, how conscious are we of how we relate to sex and how that impacts our day-to-day life, how that impacts our relationships, how that impacts our communication, how that impacts our lifestyle? Like, how aware are we of the sexual energy component? How aware are we of the sacredness to sexuality and utilizing sexuality as a means to elevate our connection to spirituality, to elevate or transcend our states of consciousness, right? And so conscious sexuality is where we start to now dissect and dialogue and interact with what does it actually mean, right? And so instead of being like, all right, well, this is exactly what it is, it's really more from a framework of, are we now bringing consciousness to something that we've been programmed on what it's supposed to be? Yeah. And so it's really questioning the programming around our sexuality. And so therefore, we start becoming more conscious of it.
Cool. And you mentioned sexual energies. I remember something you said to me that really I found very curious, that the healing energy isn't sexual energy. Like, it's one and the same. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so I guess to go back a bit on that, right, is understanding that we have our chakra systems, right? And our chakra systems are going to be able to generate the energy, each specific one, a specific component. But when they're all aligned and they start to circulate through our body, right, our magnetic field starts to expand. And that energy field, think of it like if you've ever seen Dragon Ball Z, right, where like Goku starts to like chi up, right? He starts to like increase his energy. Well, that sexual energy, that's the same chi energy that we're talking about. And that's the same energy that we can actually utilize to heal, right? And healing from a component of utilizing that magnetic energy to be able to bring light, to be able to bring healing. Yes. And this really goes into the intentionality behind our energy, right? How are we utilizing our energy? What are we creating? What are we manifesting? Right. And so, yes, absolutely. Sexual energy can be a healing modality, but sexual energy can also do the opposite. So let's not get it confused and think that all sexual energy is healing energy, because there is sexual energy that can be actually poison to other people and to ourselves, right? And so it's being able to understand, again, how conscious am I of my sexual energy, my sexual intentions, yes, my sexual pleasures, and having awareness of all of that has an impact on our environment, on the people that we get to influence, that we get to share our space with.
So you mentioned chakras. For those who don't know, give us a little tiny course on chakras, what they are, and yeah.
Yeah. Chakras. So the chakras, I'm sure there's been a lot of there's now it's widely spread, right? It's a relatively common component, methodology, belief system, right? But it's also a framework, it's a structure that allows us to engage with our energy fields or specific energy points in our body that relate to specific parts of our life, right? And so if we start with our root chakra is what's going to give us our sense of stability, our sense of groundedness, our sense of belonging, right? When we think about a root, we think about a tree, right? And a tree, the longer its roots are deeper within the ground, the more solid that tree is going to be unmessable with, right? No matter what hurricane winds come, right? The winds of life, like well-rooted tree can sustain that, right? And so our root chakra is going to give us the stability to actually walk on this route. From there, we move up to our sacral. Our sacral is where we now start to turn up the heat, right? And that heat is turned into our passion, into our sexual energy, into our creativity, into our imagination, right? Into our the component that starts to expand, right? That becomes explosive. From there, we move it up to our solar plexus. You see, our solar plexus is what gives that massive energy expansion direction. And once we have direction with that energy, we can now utilize that sexual energy and direct it towards our manifestations, towards our habits, towards our actions that we need to be able to create things with, right? And so this is where we get our willpower from. From there, we move up to our heart chakra. Our heart chakra is where we now get connected to our emotions, where we get connected to the unconditional love component, the capacity to forgive, the capacity to release anger, to release hate, to release judgment, to release all of these low frequency energies that keep us stuck and alone and disconnected. Yes. So our heart chakra allows us to connect and to be able to be in that love space. From there, we move up to our throat chakra, our truth. Yes. Our authenticity, our capacity to speak the truth and know how to discern when to be in silence, because silence is just as important. Yes. From there, we move up to our third eye. Our third eye is our capacity to see beyond the here and the now, to see beyond just our eyesight, but be able to see dimensionally. It's like having a big, huge movie theater within your forehead where you can see the past, the future, the present, the different possibilities, your connection. And from there, we move up to our crown chakra, where this is where I believe that we get to actually wear our crown chakra. And there's been people that have experienced actually feeling a crown chakra, something on your top of your head, like a crown, when you're fully tapped into that. And that crown chakra is believed to give you access to source, where you now have access to source. You don't need a pope, a priest, a shaman, a healer. You have direct access to source. And when you're able to connect to source, then you have the capacity, the responsibility to be king or queen of your universe, because you now have all systems online. Your chakra system is fully connected. Your kundalini has awakened. You are now transmitting electricity, right? And so again, this is a component or a belief system that allows us to have a framework to expand on the energy work and how to utilize that. So in a nutshell, yes, in a summary, those are your chakra systems. And you can imagine plays hand in hand with conscious sexuality, because we're now bringing more mindfulness to our energy, more mindfulness to our attention on where we're moving our sexual energy.
So how does one know if, let's say, a chakra, or if you are out of balance, or the flow of the energy, how does one navigate that?
Yeah, well, just a matter of identifying, bringing awareness and observation to your current state, right? Like, how do you feel currently? Do you feel empowered, right? Do you feel weak? Do you feel strong? Do you have mental clarity? Do you have willpower? Can you love freely? Do you feel like you're connected to God? Do you feel that you can see beyond the here and now? Like, those are the questions. You see, this is where the chakra system now gives us a framework to start questioning, like, all right, well, in my root chakra, do I feel safe? Do I feel like I can actually support myself, right? Or am I in survival mode? My sacral, do I feel that I have a healthy relationship with my sexual energy? Or is there a dependency with porn and having to release that lust? Yeah. My solar plexus. Do I have willpower? Or is my willpower like goes out the window, right? Like, where are we? So this is the inquiry. So having the chakra system allows us to engage. All right, well, where am I? Where's my state of mind? And what chakra should I be focusing on clearing and realigning? Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yep. Cool. So Sebastian, let's talk about sacred masculinity. What is sacred masculinity?
Sacred masculinity. What is sacred masculinity? So well, first of all, let's look at the word sacred, right? So sacred is from derived from the world, from the place of sacredness, of reverence, of something holy. Yes, something that's been worked on to be of light, to be of service. Yes, and so when we talk about the sacred masculine, is this component of masculinity that has done the work to actually be that safe space, to be able to be that healing space, that's done the work to be grounded, to be centered. Yes, that's done the work to be able to recognize where there's responsibility to be taken. Yes, and to really step into and embody a masculine energy component so you can have that masculine container whenever you're around people. People feel your presence and they can feel safe in your presence, and they can feel your solidarity in your presence. They can feel your groundedness, right? And so that sacred masculinity, more than this destination, it's an embodiment to bring aware and start practicing on a daily basis every present moment, right? So that's what I would relate to as the sacred masculine.
So let's say, how does one embody the sacred masculinity as a man?
Yeah, well, first, again, it's awareness, right? Awareness is an awareness. And awareness is observing, where am I not? Where am I not being authentic? Where am I not taking responsibility? Where am I not being the man I know I have to be? I know I can be. I know I want to be. Where am I not? Right? That's the place. Where am I not taking responsibility? Where am I lying? Where am I cheating? Where am I giving the least amount? Where am I not giving my best? Where am I being, where can I look in areas of my life that people don't feel safe around me? How does my family feel around me? How do my friends feel around me? How does the community feel around me? And so these are the deep questions that we have to start engaging with, right? Which takes on this perspective of, it's no longer what can the world and what is the world doing to me, but rather, how am I responding to the world and how can I be of service to the world? Yes. And so it comes from this container of me, take and give to me, to, oh, I got me. How can I be of service? And being of that service allows you to really step into that masculine container.
It's a good explanation. So I'm gonna announce to people that me and Sebastian, we are going to be organizing a sacred masculinity retreat, which will happen October 3rd to October 6th. And this is a retreat for men only, where we will drink some medicine and then we will work extensively on exactly the topics we're talking about today. So, Sebastian, why should somebody consider coming to a sacred masculinity ayahuasca retreat? Like, who would benefit from that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, and again, this sort of give a little bit of backstory. So this is actually something that you and I created out of the participation of this last Sacred Masculine program that you and I got to work together, right? And so what initiated from that was a 90-day program that was fully focused on bringing awareness to our relationship to what it means to be a sacred masculine, right? And to really bring a mirror to where we haven't fully been honoring that. And so to be able to add to that component, we realized that one of the things that was really missing was a way to be able to integrate all of these teachings in a way that's applicable, but can also be taught firsthand and in live would be so much better. So we came up with this idea of like, well, how about we actually create a 4-day experience where we get to take everything that we just talked about in the last 90 days and bring it into a 4-day container where we get to now talk about, but more than talk about, we now get to implement, and we now get to actually practice and engage with the exercises that we were just talking about. So while yes, it's powerful to have completed the 90-day program, it gives you context. Obviously you got 90 days worth of content, right? To be able to now put into a weekend, right? You can still go with no content, with no background into this, and go and have an incredible experience with a brotherhood, with a community of men committed to doing this work. And doing what work exactly? Doing the work necessary to show up as men that are powerful, that are grounded, that are centered, and that are safe to the community, that are safe to the world. And safe does not mean not dangerous. Yes, I know Jordan Peterson talks about a lot about that when it comes to men and the dangerous component. So safe men does not mean safe men that are not capable of harming, or rather on the contrary, it's a brotherhood of fierce men that are willing to do whatever it takes to keep a safe container, which is very different, right? And so being able to step into that greatness, step into that power is part of that sacred masculine. So we get to do that in a 4-day container.
Okay, so there will be one ayahuasca ceremony to help people open up and connect with the energies, the chakras, and everything you mentioned about. What else are we gonna do? How it's gonna look like? But yeah, so let's answer this, and then I have a next question ready for you. So how is it gonna look like? What are we gonna do? What are the activities to get people excited?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you did mention, we are going to be integrating ayahuasca into this. I think it's going to be a really powerful component, right? Because oftentimes ayahuasca, it's under the framework that we're going there to heal something. Yes. And while there will be healing, the context that we're going to be utilizing ayahuasca with is a bit different, right? It's specifically seeking guidance on what it means to be a sacred man, what it means to be an honorable man in today's day and age. Right. And so with that, we're going to be then taking the experience that we got from ayahuasca and incorporating different exercises that I've been curating so that we can have an incredible experience, a transformative experience where we get to actually move emotions and feel experiences more than just talk. Yes, talking will be necessary, and talking will be a critical part of the experience, because in talking, we get to share and we get to give expression to emotions and thoughts and ideas that we may not have had the platform to do so. So being able to have an audience of men listening to you and engaging with you and supporting you is going to be powerful for the transformational work within a brotherhood of communities of men. Yes, on top of that, being able to hold one another accountable and the different activities and exercises is only going to enhance the experience. So yes, there will be dialogue. Yes, there will be communication. Yes, there will be a circle, but yes, there's going to be a lot of different exercises that's going to help move that energy and move and leave the experience with practice, right? The idea is that the things that you learn in these 4 days, you get to go back to your home and actually continue to implement and integrate and share with the people in your life.
So what kind of issues in their life can those guys that attend expect relief from? Let's say, what for those who are listening and they may be asking themselves like, oh, is it right for me? So what is the improvement going to be like? What are the let's say, what are the issues people are going through that can get help with this event?
Yeah, so pretty much, who is this event for? What type of men is this for? Right? So this is men that are committed to actually doing something about their current state of life, right? And so they feel stuck in whatever way, shape, or form, whether it's in their sexuality, whether it's in their confidence, whether it's in their self-esteem, whether it's in their lack of purpose, whether it's in their lack of direction, whether it's in their lack of community, their lack of brotherhood, their lack of camaraderie, right? And so if you're a man that is seeking to develop themselves and gain more access to yourself, more access to tools and techniques that are going to help you evolve yourself, not just as a man for yourself, but as a man that can carry out powerful relationships with other men and with women in your life, right? To be able to increase your confidence, to be able to increase that sense of sacredness within yourself and leave with practices, right? And so if you want to start changing your habits, if you want to change, maybe there's some level of porn addiction, right? And so this is going to be learning specific techniques so that you can increase your stamina and learn how to move your sexual energy in a way that gives you power instead of depletes your power. And more importantly, you get a community that you get to continuously evolve with and work with as time evolves and progresses.
What about relationship status? If somebody is having a hard time finding relationships or has problems in their relationships, would it be helpful?
Yeah, absolutely, right? Because when we look at problems with relationships or our inability to attract a relationship, we really are looking at there's a lot of limiting beliefs, or there's a good opportunity to identify, all right, like what's going on, right? In your self-confidence, right? How do you relate to yourself? What's going on with your magnetic field? Are you attracting the type of relationships that you want? Are you attracting the type of women that you want, right? And if not, well, what's in the way? So part of this weekend is also being able to harness in as a man, what's in the way, or what's the next step for me to evolve as a man so I can be that attractive man that I know I can, so I can attract the type of relationships that I want, so I can attract the type of opportunities that I want, right? And so even if you don't have a partner right now, this is all part of your growth, right? Sacred sexuality, sacred masculine, right? Before we can start engaging with partners on the outside world, we got to have a very intimate, powerful connection with ourselves. And this is what it is. It's really establishing a connection with ourselves so that we are fully ready, at least prepared, to start engaging in relationships with our loved ones.
Great. So now the question is, why are you the guy to teach them this? Tell us a little bit about your specific strong points, and your story of mastering it yourself.
Yeah. So why me? Well, I would say first and foremost, because I'm living proof of it, man. I'm living proof of what happens when we start to do the work, specifically around the breath work, about the moving the energy, of being able to have multiple orgasms without ejaculating, being able to serve women and have them experience the level of safety that they require to be able to blossom, having testimonies of women that I've been able to serve and men that I've been able to help serve women and their partners, right? And so there is a track record of me not just learning about this in books, but rather me being out in the field, working this, doing this stuff, actually integrating it into my day-to-day life. And it's the reason why I'm able to have an incredible, I would say, intimate life, where I have my tantric lovers, and by all means, it's 100% authentic and it's transparent. And there is no need to lie. There's no need to pretend. There's no need to be something that I'm not. But authentically being able to attract the type of relationships that I want, quality women that are up to something incredible in their life, and being able to have authentic relationships with each one without any fluff. Yes, without any lies, but full transparency, empowering myself and empowering the women in my life. And so hence the reason why I talk about this and I have the authority to talk about it is because I'm living it, because I'm experiencing it, because I get to fully enjoy and embrace it. And I see the power and the magic that opens up for people in doing this work. In my 9-city tour that I did 2 years ago, that was a great eye-opener, that it made me realize that there's a lot of people that are very disconnected from their sexuality. And sometimes we forget, as people that are actively in this world, we forget the gap between what we know and what we think people should know and what they actually know. And so this is where I'm here to help minimize that gap, and that everyone, all men, can start doing this type of work. But it's going to take practice. It's going to take a discipline. It's going to take actions to start integrating into our daily life. And you and I have talked about this before. One of the difficult or the challenges that a lot of men have in doing this work is that it's one of those things that you have to believe it until you see it for yourself. Yes? And oftentimes people are in the, oh, well, I need to feel it before I can believe it. Right? And that's not usually how it works. You have to actually do the practices so that you can become more attuned with your energy, so that you can become more sensitive to the subtleties. But if you have none of that connection, it's going to be very hard for you to actually tap into that. And so someone that's been programmed with porn, with visuals, they're going to have a hard time to believe in this type of stuff. They'll see somebody like me shaking and having a fucking orgasm, and they're going to be like, oh, he's faking it. Oh, that's bluff. Oh, that's fake. And I'm going to be like, sure, whatever. I get to experience it. Right? And so this is where that component is, that there's a level of wanting to know this information and willing to go through the process long enough till you actually are like, yes, now I get to experience this. And here's the thing. Once you start experiencing energetic orgasms and you start entering into that world, yeah, the primal sex is cool. It's good. It's delicious. But there's something that the energetic sexual component has that the primitive one just is missing. And once we get connected and tapped into that spiritual component, man, do we want more. And that only makes us more hungry to learn this. And hence the reason, more avid about our discipline and our practices.
Great. So I know your story was not always easy for you. It wasn't always the rainbows and butterflies and energetical orgasms. Tell us about your story of achieving it, and also why did ayahuasca tell you not to have sex for 2 years?
Yeah. So, and this is something that, we've talked about, right? We talked about how along my journey, like before I got into the whole sexual work, like I was with ayahuasca and I was going through my own depression, through my own anxiety. I was going through my own darkness. And as I was working and going through my own healing, it got to a point where ayahuasca was just like, all right, good. You've done a lot of work, but now you have to work on your sexuality energy and no more sex. And I was like, wait, what? What you mean no more sex? What do you mean? Right? And it ended up turning into 2 years of no sex, of no porn. Right? And after those 2 years, when I went to go drink ayahuasca, I think this was like my 5th time in those 2 years, ayahuasca finally goes, okay, congratulations. You can start working with sex again. You now know how to say no to sex. And to me, I was just like, I didn't put 2 and 2 together until after that ceremony, when I realized it's like, oh, wow, I really can say no to sex. Like I can actually have a woman naked in front of me and I can actually have the self-control to say no. Now, in the time, I had a reason. And the reason was ayahuasca told me I couldn't do it. Right? But now it's just like, oh, now it's evolved into something deeper. It's evolved into something more spiritual. But it's become my decision. It's become my choice. And it's come from my own perspective of sexuality. Right? And so it's been a process of discovering and uncovering my limiting beliefs, my shames, my guilt, my sexual desires, my sexual temptations, my kinks, my fetishes, and realizing, wow, where's their shame? Wow, where's their guilt? Wow, where am I still feeling not fully empowered or fully self-expressive around my sexuality? Where do I still have this anxiety? Yeah. And so part of that is doing all of this type of work. And so it's been a process of having different mentors pull those things out of me and show me. Like one of the experiences that was very profound was actually working with a tantrika, with a woman that's trained in the arts of tantra. And being able to work with her, she helped me to uncover a lot of my blind spots. She helped me realize the importance of breath work when it came to intimacy. She was the one that taught me about our chakra systems and really integrating that into our actual movement, really integrating movement, sound, right? Like all of these components that sometimes as guys you're like, wait, what? Why is that even important? Right? And so I'm very blessed and very honored to all the different mentors and teachers that have come along. Right? There's a specific Maestro Priyananda, right? He was the one that gave me, in a way, by him being himself and me seeing how in the middle of the day at the grocery store, you'll be buying something and out of nowhere, he's just like shaking like from an orgasm. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? And he's just like, bro, I'm just excited, man. I'm just an excited man. I'm constantly excited. And it's like literally like he had so much energy that he'd just be like shaking. And people around him would start to shake. They're like, what's going on? Right? Because there's so much sexual energy. Right? And so unless I actually saw somebody living that and that just being part of their normal day to day, they're just like, what? I didn't have a context that was normal. But now that's normal for me. Now I'll be doing something and out of nowhere, I'll just start shaking. Or somebody around me, I barely touch them and they start to shake. And it's because of that accumulative energy that we start to create. And there's now the mental capacity, the mental bandwidth to know that it's okay, that it's normal, that that's actually congruent. You see, sometimes it's our belief system that stops us because somebody might say, oh, that's weird. Well, I don't want to do that. That's fake. Or that's this, or that's that. And so guess what? They're closing themselves up. And so again, part of doing this work is more than the practice, is also dissecting how we relate to sex and all the shames and all the stuff that comes along with it, that come along through our own experiences as we grow up.
So you mentioned tantrikas and tantra. What is tantra? And regarding the event that we're organizing, will there be any tantric exercises? Will people learn about tantra? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so tantra is a philosophy which means to weave together, right? And to weave together, we're weaving in a lot of different modalities or contexts around orgasmic energy, around a lifestyle, because that's really what we're talking about, is a lifestyle. Right. And so when we talk about breath work, when we talk about chakras, when we talk about Buddhism, when we talk about Kama Sutra, when we talk about Kundalini, when we say any of those key words, that's all inside of the umbrella called Tantra. That's all of it. All of it is inside of the umbrella called Tantra. Right. And so Tantra isn't this specific religion or doctrine, but rather it's an open dialogue of what it can contain and the component of orgasmic life, seeing the orgasmic vitality in all and connecting to our transcending duality, right? And so, yes, we're going to be talking about components of it without necessarily speaking specifically about Tantra. We'll talk about Tantra, right? We're going to be talking about breath work. We're going to be actually doing the movements. We're going to be doing the sounds. We're going to be doing a lot of the exercises that are all inside of that context. But I'm not going to say I'm a tantric teacher because I haven't fundamentally learned the scripture, right, of tantra. No, this is where I say conscious sexuality, because it allows me to play in that realm a lot easier without this expectation of I need to know all these Sanskrit words.
Well, I think it sums it up pretty nicely. Any last parting words as into why people should join our event, and then maybe tell us a little bit about where people can find more about you and get to know you.
Yeah. So last minute words. Look, if you are not having incredible orgasms, if you are not producing incredible orgasms for your lovers, for your lovers, if you don't feel fully empowered around your sexuality, if you've made it financially, you're it. You've done it. You've won. You've escaped the rat race, but you're still home alone and you're still paying for company, then this is where you should be at. There's a 4-day experience for you to really tap into that piece that's missing or it hasn't been fully developed yet. And this is where we get to do that work, so that you can go back and really step into that man that you know you are, rounded, centered, safe for women, for your community, for yourself, connected to your divine purpose and connected to source, right? And so that's the last thing I need to say about that. I want to say about that. In regards to me, where people can find me, you guys can go to my Instagram page, Ignite Self Mastery, or you can check out my podcast at Ignite the Spark Within. And that'll be on all the platforms as well. Sam mentioned I am an author. If you have Audible or Amazon, you can pick up my book, It Takes a Leap. And that is a book focused on what it means to take a leap into the abyss in order to really fulfill that mission and that purpose you were designed to create and fulfill. So that's how you can find me.
Thank you, Sebastian. So you mentioned that if you made it, then you can come. But if you haven't made it, you can also come because the retreat is very affordable. It's only $5.95. You will have both ayahuasca. There will be one ayahuasca ceremony, but there will also be a lot of training, a lot of coaching. We have this beautiful retreat venue here in Colombian mountains with the creek and the pool and the gym. There'll be good food, so it's all going to be included. So guys, definitely come over. I'm excited about this event myself. I have been working with Sebastian for about 3 months now, him coaching me, trying to understand myself as well, also my desires and inhibitions, and finding my authentic self. It's been very interesting, but from my desire to work with him one-on-one and see it in person, really get to connect to those energies, was born this idea for this retreat. And I think for those of you here that are interested and maybe calls you, it could be a good interlap between the ayahuasca work and the other modalities, because ayahuasca shows us glimpses of energies and connections, and it's not easy to bring it back to your life. So this is what Sebastian will do. He'll teach us frameworks, and we'll do practical exercises, and hopefully become a little bit more masculine and a little more sacred, and become sacred masculine, embody it, be the best masculine versions of ourselves, and be better partners, better friends, better fathers, better lovers, as Sebastian said. So all of that. And it is a bit of a prohibited topic, I would say, but when you are here and when you are at this retreat, there will be a lot of transparency. Some guys will learn a lot about me that I generally don't talk about, and we'll be sharing deeply. We'll be really in it together, and I'm really looking forward to see who joins us. So hopefully that's right for you, and come over, and once again, as you can see by the price, it's not a money grab operation. It is mostly comes out of interest for us to work with this ourselves. And come over, guys. If you're feeling called, if you think that there is something you can improve, this is a retreat for you.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you for your work and for your space, and I look forward to being able to co-create some magic at La Guaira.
Thank you, Sebastian. Great episode. I'm looking forward to the event. Thank you for sharing. And guys, you've been listening to Ayahuasca Podcast. As always, with you, the host, Sam Believ, and I will see you in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to support us and psychedelic renaissance at large, please follow us and leave us a like wherever it is you're listening. Share this episode with someone who will benefit from this information. Nothing in this podcast is intended as medical advice, and it is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This episode is sponsored by La Guaira Ayahuasca Retreat. At La Guaira, we combine affordability, accessibility, and authenticity. La Guaira, connect, heal, grow. Guys, I'm looking forward to hosting you. Vida te la baila, cura con la guaira, limpia